What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Crush City Territory. I'm Chandler Rome, joined by Tyler Stafford and a very special guest, the new Director of Hitting and Offensive Coordinator for the Houston Astros, Dan Hennigan. Dan, how did it feel to be introduced with that title, maybe for the first time since you got the job a couple of weeks ago?
It's an interesting title, but I was excited. I'm excited to be back with the Astros and get an opportunity to keep things moving in the right direction, hopefully.
I think a lot of people, this may be their first time, seeing your face, hearing your voice. So I've got a lot of stuff I want to get to know. I'm sure Tyler does as well. But I think first what would be prudent is to maybe give people a little bit of introduction, maybe who you are, how you got here. Just if you could maybe give people a little bit of background just on your journey to this point. You went to a college, and this is not foreign to the Astros. You went to a college that I, quite frankly, have never heard of, called Franklin Pierce University, where you were a very good baseball player and got to the independent league for a little bit, got a little bit of minor league experience. Just give the viewers and the listeners maybe a little bit of your journey and how you got to where you're at right now.
Okay, very good is debatable. I was okay. We played on a turf field, and I just smacked balls through the 4-hole. But yeah, I played college baseball. I guess I was the weird good enough to continue playing, but not good enough to get drafted or signed. So I went in. I was the youngest player in the Atlantic League. I was the first person born in the 90s in the Atlantic League. And then the Dodgers gave me an opportunity. And in the first inning, you can find this somewhere. In the first inning, I made a diving play up the middle at short, spun, threw it to first. We got the out. We went to throw it around the horn, and I couldn't pull my arm back, and I flung it to the third baseman, tore my labrum. So I played one game for the Dodgers in affiliate. Sat in a sling for a while and started going down this hitting rabbit hole and trying to figure out why I sucked so bad.
Well, can you reverse diagnose now? Looking back, what could you have done better?
Oh, completely disconnected. It was all hands. It was like the Charlie Lau chop at it, and I'm 5'0". So it was a tough combo of all hands, no body, and physically no body. It was a tough combo. Just slapping.
So I'm wondering, as you're playing in college, you're playing in indie ball, and then you get is coaching on your mind? Are you thinking I want baseball to be my life, or did you have maybe one of those aha moments where you kind of thought, oh, this is what I want to do? Was this always kind of your career path in your mind?
No, it wasn't. I guess the aha moment would be while I was in the sling. I was watching one of the coaches. This is right when some of the cell phones started getting slow motion, and one of the coaches was talking to one of our hitters and was like, "That's not it. That's not it." And then he finally crushed one, and he was like, "That's what I'm talking about." And I looked at the slow mo, and that was the one he didn't do what the coach was saying, and I kind of realized oh my God, how many times have I been just blindly listening to something? And of course, these coaches mean well, and a lot of times it's feel versus real, and it could mean different things for different people. But that's when I kind of realized, why have I not taken the ownership of my own career? I'm just kind of blindly being the yes, sir, good coach. Yes, sir. So that was sort of the aha of I need to figure this out. But that was more on the competitive side, because in your head, you always think I'm still going to make the big leagues, which I had no shot. But so that was the real aha of I need to figure this out. But even then, I was doing lessons and stuff in the off season, just trying to pay bills, and my competitiveness and just trying to continuously learn and experiment. And I probably jacked up a bunch of hitters and then slowly realized there's not one way. There's a bunch of different ways to get some results once you understand how their body moves and how the swing shape is.
So Chandler probably already knows this, so this is probably a dumb question, but can you walk through just on, I don't know, let's pick a random Tuesday game in May that the Astros are playing. What are you doing the night before? What does your kind of day look like to best prepare for a game coming up?
You're talking about this for this coming year, or last?
Yeah. What do you think it'll look like? What does it mean to be the offensive coordinator?
Yeah. So during the game, I'm going to be in the booth. I'm going to have a headset, and we'll try to run like a spread offense. No, I think so. Part of my role is the same as last year, and that was like this director of hitting, and essentially that was to build like a repeatable, scalable process for how we prepare, how we can integrate the different departments, and make sure that we're moving the needle with the young guys, and we kind of get crushed in the ranking system of our prospects because we've been drafting really late for a while. That's what happens when you win a lot of games, and we've also traded a lot of good prospects to continue winning. So I think we were ranked like 28th from Baseball America, and I'm proud that in our hit plus stat that Baseball America does using objective data, we came in 4th this year with the 28th ranked prospects. And a lot of that was because we had like really cool buy-in from our minor league coaches, our hitting coordinator, Aaron Westlake, and all the different departments. Like our sports science group did an amazing job, and our new S&C coordinator allowed me to be the most annoying person ever. And we built out a screening process, and R&D did. Like, really proud of that whole group. Jacob Buffa, who has since got a pretty cool job with the Cardinals, but last year he was a major help. And then of course, our GM and AGMs. So that part isn't going away. I'm still going to try to move the needle on the processes and how we can integrate everything. On more of what you're asking, and probably what fans would care about, would just be the game planning side. And like, so if the question is with the day-to-day, where hopefully I'm taking the heavy lifting off of the coaches, where they can focus on being in the cage and working with those guys. My role is to provide options, essentially, like clean, actionable game plans based upon what the opposing pitcher and who we think the relief pitchers are going to be that day or that series. How we as a unit can hopefully put together something that isn't just about like ambushing or taking all the pitches, but finding the right strategy for that specific team to put runs on the board, and not just have a really good batting average or get a lot of hits, but like truly win 90 feet at a time and see if we can start to get back up there. I think we were 21st last year in runs scored per game, and I would love to be back in the top 10. So, I mean, ultimately, like the coaches and the hitters, they can pick what fits them, but I'm basically going to collaborate with them and build out, here's the options based on the shapes and patterns of those pitch shapes and our swing shapes. So we'll have a unified thing that the team is trying to do, and then also personalized things for each of our hitters, so we lean into their strengths. And hopefully we get these like little micro advantages. And we're still going to have games where we get shut out, and everybody's going to say that we need to get fired, and maybe they're right. But we're also going to have games where like that second or third time through the lineup, it starts to wear on them a little bit. And maybe we start to get a couple more walks, and then the relief pitchers by the end of a series have had to throw more innings, stuff like that.
So I've got a just general hitting philosophy question. For me, pitching, there seems to be more of like an attack approach, right? Like you've got your pitches. These are the ones that you do well. You spin this ball well. You throw this ball in this location well. And it's like an attack plan against a hitter. A hitter, to me, whenever you talk about prepping for a pitcher, oftentimes comes off as almost defensive. It's like, well, if you're in this count, look for this over here so you can spoil it or whatever. When you're game planning as a hitter, do you see yourself as being the attacker, or is it how do I protect against what this pitcher can do to me?
Depends on the count. But no, I would like us to be, and I say this often, I would like us to be the predator. We understand the rules, and especially this coming year, we know what the strike zone is. We know that the rules, they have to eventually throw a ball in that strike zone, unless we can continue to chase. So if we know that like we can essentially build our trap, we know that this ball has to try to cross it. I would like for us to be in positions where each of us individually can get into their personal best position to attack and be the predator.
You mentioned I have off of those two questions, I have like 15 follow-ups.
I know, me too.
So you mentioned, and this is something that Dana Brown was pretty vocal about at the GM meetings last week, is about establishing a hierarchy within the hitting staff, just in terms of duties, and you mentioned you wanted to take some of the pressure and maybe the responsibility off of the new hitting coaches, Victor Rodriguez and Anthony Iapoce. I guess, first of all, I presume you have had many discussions with those two gentlemen since this has been finalized. Just what has it been like, your early discussions with them? And I guess, how do you envision, once spring training and once the season rolls around, how do you envision the three of you kind of working together to make this hitting staff kind of coalesce and become together?
Yeah, we have spoken. The talks have been, the first part of the question was how have the talks been? They've been great. I think we're still, of course, getting to know each other. I'm excited to learn from them, and obviously they're both very impressive and have a good resume. In terms of with the players in the cages, Vic's the big dog. He's the number one. Is that what you're asking?
I mean, yeah, so that's Dana made no bones about that Victor Rodriguez is the head hitting coach. He will be the number one. Anthony Iapoce will be his assistant, and then you'll be kind of the director of hitting and game planning and passing things on to them. So I guess, just in understanding that we're having this conversation on November 20th, and things can obviously will evolve as spring training and the season goes along, but I guess, how do you three guys maybe envision the process being streamlined on a day-to-day basis when season does start?
Yeah. Okay. So I will kind of handle I'll handle the future, essentially. So I'll prep for everything that's going to happen. I'll lay out how I think we can win. Like, and that's not just, this is what this pitcher has and this is what he throws, and like, any questions? All right, have a good game. More so, like, this is how we really think we can have an advantage in this series or in this game. I'll lay out multiple options. We will talk with the players about what they feel comfortable with, what they don't feel comfortable with. I will then present that to Joe. Joe and Vic look at what they like about it. They make the final call, and from there, like, that information gets disseminated to the players. At certain times, I'll run the meetings and the presentations and some of the educational stuff, especially early on. But ultimately, Vic will look at it, dissect it, see what feels best, and then we'll go into the game with a unified message that we all feel really good about.
And you look at how do you think the last 2 years as the minor league hitting coordinator, as being the stuff you've done, how do you think that's prepared you for this role? You said a lot of it, you could be doing some similar things that you've been doing the last couple of years. How do you feel like that's prepared you? And how do you feel maybe you can take some of what you did there and maybe translate it to the big league game planning, things like that?
It's prepared me because there's so many smart people in this organization that, as I continued to push for, put simply, like, we have this unbelievable pitching, like, Bible, for lack of a better term. And it's so deep, and it's got years and years of information baked into it and built upon it. And on the hitting side, while there was unbelievable minds that went through that process and minor league coordinators, there wasn't a true system. It was like that coordinator did really well, and then he went and this other team poached him, and then this guy came in, did really well, and this other team poached him, and it was just open. So we had to build something out that was scalable to get 75 prospects to improve, and also make it customizable and personalized in its own way. And the only way to pull that off and make it autonomous in any capacity was to be able to integrate with all the different departments, and all of those different departments have people that are way smarter than me. So learning from them, picking their brain, and like never really losing my North Star on what I know I needed and what I know is going to move the needle for us, but also getting their input, how their brain operates, has allowed me to, like, really take in all these different like lenses of the same thing we're trying to tackle. So that has allowed me to look at, okay, this is how a pitching coach calls the game. This is how a pitcher looks at it. This is how a catcher likes to call it. This is how the advanced team tries to do things. So in that regard, I think that has allowed me to become a little more versatile. On the other side of it is in my separate life, this is something I've already been doing for a couple of years, and proud of the results we have, and we have a good ROI with our clients. And so this isn't new in many ways. It's just new in this public eye.
Who's the best hitter you've ever seen?
I've ever seen?
Yeah.
Barry Bonds.
Okay. I mean, is there something from Barry Bonds that you think is that, I obviously, right? Like, he's the greatest hitter of all time, but as you watch him, as somebody who diagnoses hitting, are there things that stand out that are not like otherworldly, just magical powers that Barry Bonds had? Like, you can't just give everyone that bat speed or whatever, but like, of the things that you can control as a hitter, it doesn't have to be Barry Bonds specifically, but are there things that you notice in hitting that you think is a universal, this could help anybody improve? Does that make sense?
I think so. Yeah. So yes, and we have, with our sports science group and some of the biomechanics stuff we've been able to build out, we can identify, like, if you take these like pillars of what we believe matters, you can take, let's just say there's 7 pillars, okay? Because for us, there's 7 pillars.
I kind of want to know the 7 pillars now.
I can't. You're going to lose our competitive advantage, man. But okay, of those 7, let's say the 3 of us are all Hall of Famers, obviously, with our amazing athleticism.
Obviously.
Hell yeah.
Obviously. We could, like, our like MLB The Show version of that.
Yeah.
Like of the 7 like bar graphs, like
the sliders,
very different. Yeah. And so you kind of lean into, okay, if this thing isn't possible, maybe that's a genetic issue. Maybe that's like a mobility issue. Maybe that's a strength issue. Maybe it's just something you're not good at right now and we don't think, or your proprioception's so bad that when we try to work on it with you, like, you do the total opposite thing we just asked for. We can still lean into certain things and kind of, like you said, move the sliders on the other pillars to get to where you notice like a silver slugger being, I guess, is the best way I can put it. So yes, in terms of, are there things that every successful hitter has? Yes. How good they are at each of those things does sort of slide, and it's different. I think the thing that makes Bonds so dominant was 6 of the 7 were at the 99 mark,
Yeah.
We'll continue this conversation with Dan Hennigan right after this message from our friends at Foul Territory.
Hey, Jay, we're going to do things a little bit differently here. I am wearing the Perfect Jean, and I remember seeing ads for the Perfect Jean, like, most comfortable fit ever, perfect fit on your body. And I was like, I'm not buying it. Now I'm buying it, and we're showing it off on FT.
Please get off my desk, first of all, Scott. Second of all, I was with you. I was skeptical about Perfect Jean, and then I got a pair, and the fitting was perfect. And my body's not hard to fit because I got a big old rear and big old legs from years of squatting, and they fit perfectly. They're stretchy, they're comfortable, they're fashionable. They're everything I look for in a jean, and now I have an extra pair, and I'm going to wear them all the time.
FOUL15 is the code at theperfectjean.nyc. FT listeners get 15% off your first order, plus free shipping, free returns, and free exchanges when you use code FOUL15 at checkout. That's 15% off for new customers at theperfectjean.nyc with promo code FOUL15. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the show and tell them Foul Territory sent you.
We're back with Dan Hennigan, Astros offensive coordinator. Hope Texans play later tonight. Hope the Texans offensive coordinator takes a call from you, maybe throws the ball a little bit more. Maybe it's a spread offense. But, in talking about this Astros team and this offense specifically, this is an offense that throughout this golden era has had, we just talked about pillars. A couple of the pillars of the Astros golden era since, 2018, 2017 has been, they don't strike out. They put the ball in play and they take, pretty dogged, patient plate appearances. And that is something that, the numbers say, and both Joe Espada and Dana Brown have said that in the last couple of years that has gotten away from you guys a little bit. Tyler and I have talked extensively on this show about, everyone wants to blame the hitting coaches. Everyone, it's the hitting coach's fault when no one produces well and everything. My thing, Dan, has always been that, it's either a personnel issue or it's a philosophy issue. And I wonder, just in general, if you've got a group of personnel that does things one way, that, swings a lot, that chases a lot because they're able to put the barrel on the ball wherever it's pitched. Is it easy to get guys that have been doing it this way for a long time, that have gotten to the big leagues, that have gotten to the pinnacle doing it this way? Is it easy to get them to, I'm not saying completely overhaul their approach. I'm not saying you're going to turn a free swinger into a guy that never swings, but is it easy to get them to sway more toward the middle, or is that more of a gradual process that you think, needs to be done?
No, it's not easy.
Yeah, right.
And then, but I do think part of the, whatever you want to call it, part of what has allowed me the opportunity to work with some players that have been in all-star games, that have been in home run derbies, that have won a batting title, is the fact that if everybody likes to hear about themselves, and if you can present and educate information about that player in a way that resonates with them, and show them sort of a light at the end of the tunnel of, this is not only a thing that we think you could do better, but it's also something that would be very rewarding for you. I think that if you do, and that could be completely different for different people. It could be a World Series ring for one person and being able to afford a yacht for the next person, whatever that may be. But if you can, or both, but if you can provide that in a way that resonates with that player, and properly educate and get them to see and potentially even feel like it was their decision, and in many ways it is, I think that's where you start to see players be willing to make the adjustments. And I mean, I think even like a Javi Baez last year is a decent example of I think you worded it well, of like moving at least closer to the middle.
So, I know that obviously most these things are proprietary. I don't want you just giving out trade secrets, but as a data nerd myself, I assume you get to collect a ton of just fun data. Could you just talk about the advances in hitting science and the things that we can measure? I think 5-10 years ago, if you try to talk spin rate with the average baseball fan, they would not have understood that, or certainly like tunneling or things like that. But I think they get that now. I think most people who watch baseball understand what spin rate is and those types of things. I don't think there's anything like that in hitting. What type of data points are there just in general for people to be aware of?
I mean, like bat speed and swing length are starting to show up like just on national TV now. And just, I guess, for most viewers, Mookie is one of the few that's sub 70 mile per hour that can still do damage consistently. There's a couple others out there, but he's just the one that pops in my head. Most of the guys, you do want to see them like at least low 70s, if not mid 70s. And so that's one that you're probably seeing a lot. There is what's called hit spin. So there is like a stat of how does the ball come off the bat. And if you can be below 1,600 RPMs, you are flushing that ball, like to the point where it actually might not be conducive to traveling for a long time. But at least like this guy's really squaring the ball up.
So is that what, I mean, the spin, I guess that's, yeah, if you're hitting it dead on, it's just going to come back out knuckling.
Yeah, it could even knuckle. Yeah, it could be under 100.
Does it differentiate between positive and negative? Like if you get under the ball, is that a different spin number than if you get over the ball? Does that make sense? Like is 2,000 RPM if you get under it different than 2,000 RPM if you're over it?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, the more over it you are, my terrible swing I would truly roll over. Your wrist would roll over and the barrel would hit the top of it. the more common ground balls you're now seeing are actually more of like the barrel working up the, if you just do like a 2-dimensional X and Y axis, like up the Y axis too much, and you're like essentially playing ping pong with it. So yeah, the top spin definitely affects you, but it can also benefit you. Like Chas McCormick was someone who for a couple years straight outperformed a lot of expected metrics because of his odd spin, and like it just kind of landed in front of a left fielder, and like it should have probably gone right to the left fielder, stuff like that. So, but yes,
Is there a pitch in baseball that creates like a very abnormal, output from hitters? Like, does Fromber's sinker just have like a demonstrably higher spin rate off the bat? Are there any like that off the top of your head that you can think of that like, oh, this guy just does something different than everybody else?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I mean, you get a good bowling ball sinker, righty on righty or lefty on lefty, like in on their hands, and that's going to come off with a lot of side spin with a very low exit velo. So I mean, that's still effective. And the four seamer, like you guys had dealt with it for a while with Verlander, where yes, it gets a lot of swings and misses, but it can also aid the hitter if he's able to get to it and allow it to travel further. I believe like a slider with like a good firm slider, if that's squared up, that's the one that goes the furthest because it sort of already has for the hitter backspin.
Interesting.
You mentioned something earlier about, the ranking, the outside rankings of, the Astros farm system of, and part of that is you've traded away. You mentioned you guys have traded away prospects. You've picked low in the draft. You didn't have draft picks for a couple of years for some reason. I guess I'm wondering where you feel like since you got into the system a couple of years ago and you started implementing some of this stuff, where do you think you guys have made the biggest strides in terms of your hitting development? And where do you think you guys still have, room to even grow and get even better?
I mean, at the risk of repeating myself a little bit here, like the hitting development, it truly has been the multi-departmental integration, which from the experience that I was around, it wasn't there yet. Everybody was very invested in doing everything possible and coming up with unbelievable strategies for improvement, but they weren't really like cohesive. We built, I feel confident in what we were able to accomplish last year because of the fact that we had so many different good minds from different categories coming together. So how can we continue that is to make the integration even more impressive. We have some things that we're doing with R&D that I think can allow us to make even quicker decisions on how we want to improve players and have a really good sense of exactly what that adjustment can do for the player. The other thing that I would, and this is without, having any understanding of what the scouting and amateur looked like before I got there, but Cam Pendino and his group has been egoless in terms of they have their things that they believe in, but they're also very willing to hear what we're trying to do with players and really create like this true handoff system of like, these are scouts that are working their butts off for months at a time, leaving their family, traveling around the country, trying to find these players. They find ones that they're convicted in, and they're essentially like handing their babies off to us. And a lot of times it was sort of this process of like, nobody on the PD side maybe understood exactly why that scout liked this player so much and what they foresaw that player becoming later down the road. And they maybe changed it because they saw something different. And maybe both of them are technically right, but now we're kind of like pulling on two ends. Where now we have a really good setup, and I'm very excited about this latest draft, and I think it's going to continue to be like a true pipeline, which is a hard thing to get. With people work a very long time to become a scouting director. It's a big honor, and so when you get one that's willing to reach that point and say, "Okay, show me what you got, and how can I be even better?" I think that's really special. And so shout out to Cam Pendino and his entire group. They have done an awesome job of leaning into some of our pillars on the PD side and some of the things that we have seen work, working with R&D to see what matters and what doesn't, and continuously being willing to say like, oh, we got to throw that piece out. Like, I know we did that for 3 years, but oops. Instead of like just like staying strong and being like, no, like this is going to work. When they find data that maybe something doesn't.
All right,
And-
go ahead, Chandler.
Yeah, and now I guess now that you get to lend your expertise to the major league side and the major league lineup, understanding that the offseason is early. It's early in the offseason, and we can't even pencil in yet definitively what kind of personnel you will have when you get to West Palm, just given what could happen with trades and signings and things of that nature. I guess I'm wondering, is there one thing in your discussions with Victor and Anthony that you guys either want the offense to improve upon, or is there one thing that you want this lineup to be known for that maybe has gone away in the past couple of years?
That's a cool question. All right. I really like the second part. I liked it so much that I forgot the first part. Say the first part.
Let me answer the second part.
Same idea.
So it was, what do you guys want to be known for, and what do you guys?
I guess maybe where do you see room for improvement? And then maybe what in your conversations with Victor and Anthony, maybe what do you guys want to be known for or known as an offense with you three guys maybe running it?
Right. Okay. I would like there to be true conviction and purpose in every at bat, and certain games that may be being aggressive. That's not going to be super often, but that may be the case. And the Blue Jays just showed that you can be extremely aggressive and ambush things and win a lot of playoff games. The Rangers did it in 23. They jumped on teams. They just ambushed.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's also teams like the Dodgers that just wear you down. I guess what I would like to be known for is what I would like our team to be known for is that every single game we are versatile enough. I'm going to use a basketball analogy. I want like 5 guys that can play the 4 and the point. Like I want to be able to be versatile enough where our 3-hitter can handle a certain pitch in the 0-0 count, but is also willing to take multiple strikes if it's not in a certain part of the zone, get to that 3-2 count, and still feel convicted that they can win that at bat and move the chain. And for us to be willing and able to dramatically alter our identity game to game if it gives us an advantage against that specific starter and that specific group of relief pitchers we think we're going to face. So I guess I would like to be known for the fact that teams can't really do one thing against us.
Yeah. I mean, when you can build a lineup out of, like you said, just making each pitch for the opposing team difficult too. You saw that at times last year with the Astros. Obviously we all know the idea of like the length of a lineup, right? If you've got 7, 8 pretty good hitters throughout, that can just wear down a team, throughout a game. And so that's certainly going to be important. Did you have any follow-up, Chandler? Because I've got a hypothetical question I want to ask.
Throw the hypothetical at him.
Okay. All right. So you can be thinking of your pillars. I'm going to just make some up for me. But I'm going to give you a hypothetical of 3 different players. We're going to assume that they're average at everything else. Everything else is equal, but they do one thing really well. The first one has like elite bat speed. Second guy has elite bat to ball skills, can just make contact with anything everywhere. The third guy has elite plate discipline, just will not chase outside, can recognize where pitches are going to be. What of those 3 hitters do you think would be the best?
Bat to ball.
So if you can just make contact, if you're going to be fine.
We have historical data that we can take someone that can make a lot of contact and generate bat speed.
Okay, I was going to ask that.
And then beyond that, and we are in no way like the cutting edge of that. Like every team, not every team, but a good chunk of the league can also do that. this latest year, we had in many ways proven at least amongst a group of players that had outrageously bad chase rates in the minor leagues, we were able to move the needle in a way that we were not able to do previously. So I'm very happy with that. I do think some of the stuff, what we refer to it as windows and weapons, but like the strategy we implemented and sort of the customization of how we were able to do that, even for the minor league guys, even some of them in the like low A in Fayetteville, being able, like by the end of that year, we saw the most pitches in that league. We were, near the very top in runs per game, in walk rate, in Z-Con, or how often you make contact on a pitch you decide to swing at that's in the strike zone. And this was a group that everything in our system would tell you, like, they're going to chase way too much. They're going to swing way too much. And in 1 year, we were able to change that. So we have the data that we can mess with an approach. We can alter that. We can absolutely, even just without a bat speed program, even just like cleaner kinematic sequencing, or I already gave some love. But our S&C coordinator, Zach Redding, like if we give him the idea of this is what we need out of this player, he can come up with a plan to make it better. Those guys are going to move faster and swing harder. The vision, the depth perception, the understanding of like where my bat is in space, that's a much harder thing to teach someone. And the hardest thing about hitting as opposed to pitching, I would say, is you apply something to the ball. It's like an input and an output. You did that thing, the ball now does this thing, and physics runs its course. On the hitting side, you could have the perfect kinematic sequence and still miss by 18 inches. So if you have someone that just inherently does not have a good feel of how they can make a bat touch the ball, that's hard. But I feel pretty confident that if we can get the bat to touch the ball, we have enough data, and I think I would like to say I have enough creativity that we can create different angles to make the ricochets and the geometry game of baseball play out better for us. But they got to be touch. That's the hardest part.
I feel like you just described a little bit of the Astros' current major league lineup. Like, there are guys that swing a lot, but there are guys that swing a lot and that chase, but there are guys that do that because they have such good bat to ball skills, because they have such good way to put the bat on the ball. Like, is what you just said, is that transferable? Like you said, it worked in Fayetteville with a lineup of guys that on paper it would seem that they would not do. Like, is that able to be translated to guys on a major league team that have been doing this for a very, very long time and they're not as young as those Fayetteville guys that can maybe be molded a little bit?
I can say with certainty on the private side of things with personalized players, absolutely, we've already seen it.
Mm-hmm.
As far as a team, I have to do a good job. I was not a good hitter, so if I don't do a good job explaining to players that are already significantly better than me that these are things that can also make you better, and here's the plan that gives you personally the best opportunity, then they probably won't do it, and they probably will continue to do what they feel most comfortable with and how they feel when fight or flight kicks in, what is going to give them the best chance. But if we do a good job of educating, and Vic and Posey are outstanding at communicating, if the three of us can get through and really show, like, Kobe was constantly trying to get better year after year, and I think that's where you get the real killer instinct, and I think we have that in our players here. So it's up to us to make sure that we make them feel comfortable in making some of those adjustments and being confident that this is a benefit.
Philly guy bringing up Kobe.
Right.
Do you think that you...
I would have said AI, but he didn't practice, but AI was...
Do you think that you have a good sense? I mean, obviously scouts and things that can do this, but I don't know. Just hearing you talk about how you can improve so many other things. You can improve approach. You can improve even bat speed, those types of things. But there's something innate about, just the vision and things like that. Can you tell, looking at a spreadsheet, if someone has like the ability to hit or not? I know that's a silly, but I mean, like, if you haven't seen them hit, like if you got a list of, 200 minor league free agents, and your task is to find one that, might turn into something, right? Like, and you're just looking at that data. Is there something that you look to first to say, let me sort, is it like bat speed? Is it, whatever? Like if you're just looking through a whole bunch of names and you're just trying to figure out who has potential in here, what would you look at first?
So to your first question, like who's not going to pan out? If I saw very little chase and also saw very little contact, that's scary. Those are scary for me because it's just hard. When I was with the Twins, like that was sort of my job. Like the objective was to kind of be like, eventually like the Rays of the hitting world, where like the Rays do a good job identifying this no name, and we think if we acquire him, he can do something for us. I think the Astros have done an amazing job at that. Falvey was doing a really cool job, and Levine of trying to do that on the hitting side. And so I got to kind of poke around with some theories and see what we could find. That's a tough one that you really don't see. If they aren't chasing and they whiff a lot, like they better launch balls, because that's you very rarely see that one make it to like AA and still pan out. What was the other part of it?
Like if you're okay, so now you say these people have potential, or they don't have the crazy no chase rates and they're not whiffing or whatever. Like what measurable are you sorting by quickly to say like, okay, who's standing out in these, or these are the ones that I think are important?
So on a spreadsheet, I don't know if I could confidently be like, that's the guy.
Yeah.
But if you spreadsheet and some video, some side angle, some center field angle, I think you can start to make cleaner decisions. And some of that's based on the biomechanics and the swing shape. And then also seeing of the categories you mentioned earlier, if you get good swing decisions and good mechanics, you can start to do some cool stuff with that. If you get good bat speed, good kinematic sequence, but like the ground ball rate's really high, or the spray chart's really bizarre, I feel pretty good about we can manipulate angles and start to make that ball go places that we think is cooler for us. So those guys I feel pretty good about.
Now I'm just wondering what Tyler and I would look like on a spreadsheet if you put our skill sets on a spreadsheet, whether we would make it or not. I'm gonna go with no, but who knows?
Definitely no.
I'll work for the league minimum. That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, if all you got to pay me is the league minimum, just give me an invite to camp. I'll do it.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll take. I would love the league minimum.
How fast, if you were given the task of giving me 6 months to swing a bat as fast as possible, going from I haven't played baseball since high school, barely in high school. How fast do you think I could swing a bat in 6 months?
What are we starting?
I mean, literally 33-year-old dad who has not played baseball in a while, but if I'm in good enough shape, if your only focus is to maximize my bat speed, how fast do you think I could swing a bat?
I think we can get you to. I feel good about mid-60s. I feel good.
Oh, no chance! That's crazy.
I don't think
you
so.
think that much of it?
Pretty, but yeah, we can get there.
I mean, Jose Altuve swings 69. There's no way that I'm swinging anywhere near that fast. That's crazy.
He's doing that when he's trying to square something up, coming very fast at him. If you're just happy good morning pitches, we can get it.
Okay. All right.
He's just talking about like you airing it out, Tyler. It's like,
what's the fastest that you've seen?
We had a guy. He actually is playing in Mexico right now. His name's Narciso Crook. In our building, now I'm not sure what he did in games. In our building, he's gotten up to the high 80s.
Oh.
Like 88, 86 on certain swings. It's like he has come a very long way. He got a very quick cup of coffee with the Cubs in the big leagues. And actually, I think he did pretty well up there. But that was outrageous bat speed. And he's still working his butt off. He comes in the offseason, and we met him much later in his career. But that is some outrageous bat speed.
For context for everyone, last year, do you have a guess as who led the major leagues in average bat speed, Dan?
Oh, I have a guess.
Stanton?
I was going to say Stanton.
Stanton averaged 80.6, and he swings like a maniac. So mid to high 80s is insane. I mean, again, I know it's one swing, but
if you put Altuve, that data is coming from Hawkeye. If you put Altuve on a blast, his stuff might say 76.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
there's that much of a difference now in measuring. That's not like universal across teams or minor leagues or anything like that.
In theory, it's universal, but you definitely get different readings. The IMUs,
what's an IMU?
An inertial measurement unit.
What does that mean?
It's just basically a speedometer. That's all you need.
Okay. Oh, it's in the knob of the bat.
Yeah.
That thing. Okay, gotcha.
Which is different than markerless, which would be Hawkeye.
Oh, this is fun. We could do this for a while.
We're kind of moving into words I've never heard before. So I think that may be our cue to wrap it up a little bit. But Dan, before we let you go, I am going to give you a plug here. You've been saying in our building. You know, Dan is going to be the hitting coordinator, the director of hitting and the offensive coordinator for the Astros, but he does have another side hustle. It's called Brain and Barrel. If you'd like to learn more about that, there's a great video of Dan talking about hitting and his approach to it. It's brainandbarrelhitting.com. If you'd like to check that out. Dan, anything else you want to plug? Dan, anything else you want to plug about Brain and Barrel and just kind of what you guys do there and why that's been influential and kind of how you've grown your hitting philosophy?
No, this is for the Astros, and I'm excited to see the Astros get back to where we want to be. But I appreciate it. Thank you for doing that.
That's why I waited till 46 minutes in to do it. Dan, this was great, man. I told you we'd keep you for 15 or 20 minutes, and I lied. So, but this was excellent conversation. We really, really appreciate you giving us a couple of minutes, and what I know is a very a busy time for you, trying to get everything together and ready to go for spring training, and we really, really appreciate it. This was a fun interview.
No, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for being welcoming, not throwing me any landmines today. That was nice of you.
Never. Now wait till the season starts.
Oh, there it is.
Wait till the season starts. As always, guys, we will be back next week, right before Thanksgiving, to talk about what the Astros do at the tender, non-tender deadline, what the roster looks like going forward, and some Thanksgiving talk. We'll be back next week. But until then, you can rate and review us on Apple. You can rate and review us on Spotify. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can get notified every time we post a new episode like this one with Dan Hennigan. You can follow Tyler at Tyler C. Stafford on X. You can follow me at Chandler_Rome. Dan, are you on Twitter or X or whatever it's called now?
We're not. I am
Good
not.
call.
Oh, good for you. Good call. But keep a lookout for Dan. If you don't like the play calls in the first series of the year, you know who to blame. You can blame the offensive coordinator. So thanks again, Dan. This was great, and we will talk to you guys soon.
Remember, in life, you can always just swing harder. Bye.